Hey guys, it's Pelican here and welcome to my Maxword PvP build video for the new Summerset patch. So this patch has seen many significant buffs to Maxword, most notably the buff to Rune Cage, as well as Staff is now a 2-piece, so I'll be taking advantage of those. And on the other hand, there are also some nerfs to Maxword, most notably the introduction of the new Oblivion damage set slopes, which almost everyone is using now. So there will be some features in this build to counter that. And without further ado, let's get into the build. Alright, firstly, I'll be going through what sets to run. We are running 5-piece Amber Plasm on our body, 2-piece Bloodspawn for our monster set, and we are also running 5-piece Spinner on our front bar only. And on our back bar, we have the Maelstrom Restoration Staff. We are running Amber Plasm because it gives us a lot of sustain as well as some damage, and it's probably the strongest light armor sustain set in the game, especially for max sword, since the stamina recovery can be used for dark conversion to gain back some health and Magicka. Bloodspawn will be our monster set. Now Bloodspawn isn't a very common set to use on max sword, but the reason I like Bloodspawn so much is because it's able to proc off damage taken to your wards. So when your wards go down, you will have a lot of resistance to prevent you from getting one-shotted. And you will be stacking this with a boundless storm, so we will be having a lot of resistance on the max sword. Bloodspawn also gives us some stamina recovery, and the ultimate recovery that we get back from Bloodspawn is really good because we get a lot of restoration ultis from it. So this will be very useful when you're outnumbered because you will get a lot of ultimate back and you will be able to cast restoration out almost every 20 seconds, I think. We are running 5 Spinner on our front bar. This will be our main damage set. And the reason I chose Spinner over other damage set is because of the second and third piece bonus. They are both max Magicka, and as you can see on our back bar, they will still apply. Spell damage and spell pen isn't really needed on our back bar. So when we are on our back bar, we will still be having almost full benefit from this set, as wards only scale off your max Magicka. And we are running the Maelstrom Restoration because we are running Rapid Regeneration. So this will be giving us some sustain as well as some healing. For the traits, I'm running 6 impen and 1 well fitted. The reason I'm going so much impen is because I'm not running harness, so I'll be taking a lot of damage to my health. So this combined with Bloodspawn as well as Boundless Storm will make me very tanky even when my wards are down. Well fitted because I roll and sprint a lot. You can run more well fitted if you like. We are running arcane or arcane because I think max Magicka is the best trait for max sword since it benefits both your damage and your ward. For our front bar, we are running nirn. Now personally, I like I like sharpen over nirn because sharpen tends to give more damage. But since I'm already running spinners, I decided to run nirn hone because I think running sharpen will be too much ban. You can also run infused if you like. For our back bar, we are running infused, and this is to proc our weapon damage enchantment. For the armor enchantments, I'm running all max Magicka except for one big piece which I'm running the prismatic glyph on. And for my jewelry enchantments, I'm running 1 Magicka recovery as well as 2 spell damage. On my front bar, I'm running the shock damage enchantment. I think shock damage is the best for max sword because it can proc implosion, it does 5% more damage, and it can also give the minor vulnerability debuff to your opponent. You can also run double dot poisons or maybe a disease enchantment to defile your opponents. And on our back bar, we are running an infused weapon damage enchantment. So you'll be light attacking on your back bar before swapping to your front bar to add a lot of damage to your burst. Next up, for my racial skills, I'm a high elf. I think that high elf is the best race for max sword because it gives us Magicka recovery, max Magicka, as well as elemental damage. And you can choose to go Breton or Argonian, but I personally prefer high elf. And we are also running 5 light, 1 medium and 1 heavy for our undaunted passive. And besides that, make sure to have all your other passives, your alchemy passives, as well as your class and weapon passives. Next up, for our potions, we are running the essence of spell power. This will be our source of major sorcery as well as major prophecy, since we don't have any skills that give those, and it's also pretty much 100% uptime. We are also running the tri-stat foot as well as the mage's mundus stone. This will give us about 42k max magicka without inner light or bound armor. And we are also a stage 3 vampire. This will give us 10% max magicka and stamina recovery, as well as let us take less damage when our health is low. If you are having trouble with fire damage or dawnbreaker, you can choose to drop vampire, it doesn't really matter. And besides that, here are our stats, fully buffed. So as you can see, our spell damage is pretty high, 3.3k. And with 42k max magicka and 11k pen, you'll be doing a lot of damage. This build has very high damage and you can one-shot most people easily. We also have about 22k health and 15.2k stamina. I think those are pretty good numbers. We have about 1.7k max magicka recovery when our pots are up. And it's not very high, but remember we have the maelstrom restoration as well as dark conversion. We have 1.2k stamina recovery. That's a very good number. You can dodge, roll and block a lot as well as cast conversion. Our spell crit is at 45% and our spell resistance will be about 16k and our physical resistance 15k. It will be even higher when Bloodspawn is up. We also have 11k spell pen and 2.4k crit resistance. Next up, I'll be going through the skill setup. On our front bar, we are running Boundless Storm. This will give us resistance and mobility, and it also does some damage, which can proc Implosion or pull Nightblaze out of stealth. Crystal Frags, pretty standard skill. Just remember to only cast this when the proc is up. Force Pulse will be our main spammable. You can choose to run the other morph, but I prefer more damage. Haunting Curse, you will want to time this together with Crystal Frags and Rune Cage to do maximum burst damage. And make sure you utilize the second tick of Haunting Curse, because sometimes when you're outnumbered and taking too much damage, you can't cast all the skills in your burst combo at once. So you can cast Haunting Curse first and go defensive, and then just as the second tick is about to go off, you can quickly switch to your front bar and use your Rune Cage combo. So this will save time casting Haunting Curse again. So for our CC, we are running Rune Cage. Now I'm no longer running Destructive Reach this patch because Rune Cage is so overpowered now. It goes through block and dodge, stuns for 5 seconds, and it does a lot of damage when the effect ends. So there's no reason not to use this skill this patch. And for our ultimate, we are using Meteor. Now I chose the Ice Comet morph because it does more damage and snares. And I think the snare is especially helpful because it helps keep the enemy in the ground AoE for a longer time. You can choose to go Shooting Star. It does a lot more damage to vampires, but I personally prefer Ice Comet. On our back bar, we are running Dark Conversion. This will be our sustain skill. It restores a lot of magicka as well as some health, and it only costs 2k stamina. So if you are able to cast this skill, you should. And one trick I like to use with this skill is using my CP. As you can see, I have the Unchained passive. It reduces the stamina cost of our next ability after break free. So after you break free, if you have time, you can cast Dark Conversion and it will basically be a free conversion. We are running Streak. This will be our mobility. It also does a bit of damage, so this also makes a pretty good execute. And just take note not to cast this too many times in a row, because the cost will keep stacking. We are running Rapid Regen because we have the Maelstrom Restoration. And another reason we are running Rapid Regeneration is for the heal over time. This is especially good this patch because of the new Oblivion damage over time set, so this will counter it. Hardened Ward will be our main defense. The other morph got buffed this patch, but I still think Hardened Ward is better because when you're outnumbered, you really need the extra damage mitigation. Healing Ward, we'll use this skill when your health is low. It's quite expensive, so I don't really use it when my health is above 60%, because if my health is not too low, I can still bring it back up to full using Rapid Regeneration and Dark Conversion. For our ultimate, we are using Light Champion. This is a really good skill to use when you are outnumbered, especially with Bloodspawn. And you can use this both offensively and defensively, since you don't have to worry much about your defense when it's up. But one thing to take note is that you are not completely unkillable when this is up, because sometimes the damage you take is too high. And so to counter that, I usually like to cast Hardened Ward after I cast Restoration out, to ensure that my health goes to full. And one thing a lot of people might not know about this skill is that the major force and protection actually lasts for 10 seconds, not 5 seconds. This is because it refreshes every tick, so it will still last 5 more seconds after your last heal. And an alternative to that is the new CG Ultimate, Temporal Guard. This will give you minor protection on your backbar when slaughtered, and it also gives you a damage shield whenever you block on your backbar. And this ultimate can be really good or bad depending on how you use it. And one trick I like to use with this ultimate is you can jump off a cliff and everyone will follow you, and then you cast this skill and you'll basically be teleported back up. And you can also shriek multiple times in a row while everyone is chasing you, and then you can cast the temporal guard out and you'll basically leave everyone behind. So this is a really fun ultimate to play around with, but I still prefer Restoration out. Lastly, I'll be going through the CP setup. In the blue tree, we are running 72 Elf Bond, 31 Spell Erosion, 64 Elemental Expert, 72 Master at Arms because most of our damage is direct. We are running 9 Staff Expert. You can run more into this if you want, because light attacks actually do a lot of damage this patch. 2 Shattering Blows, nothing in this tree. We are running 66 Ironclad, 31 Resistant, 37 Hardy and Ally, and 51 Thick Skin. This is to get our Unchained passives. Now do take note that passives such as Hardy, Thick Skin, and Ironclad, they actually apply to your damage shields. So that's the reason I'm not running a lot of Bastion, because I'm not running Harness. So you can run more Bastion if you like, or especially if you're running Harness. Lastly, for the green tree, it's really up to you, but here is my CP setup. You will have to review your gameplay and spec more into the points that you tend to do the most. For example, I tend to roll dodge and block a lot, so I have more points into this. If you like to heavy attack a lot, you can put points into tenacity. So the green tree is really up to you, and you have to see how you play in order to make full use of it. So that's all for the build video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and sorry that I didn't release it sooner. Next patch I will try to release my builds on time, and I'm also working on a stamina 9 blade, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for watching.